Hola, estamos desde el NP Space Draw, un evento que se realiza en preparación a la Feria NP 2024. Me acompaña Patrick Krieger, él es vicepresidente de sustentabilidad de la Asociación de Plásticos de Estados Unidos y vamos a platicar con él algunos aspectos para conocer qué está sucediendo en Estados Unidos con respecto al reciclaje y a las iniciativas de sustentabilidad que promueve justamente Plastics. Patrick, thanks so much for this time here, for this casual interview so quickly and to let us know about the recycling and the initiatives that
I'm
Plastics
happy to do it.
promote.
Happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Patrick. Can you please tell us a little bit about the current state of plastics recycling in the United States?
Sure.
And what are the steps that are being taken to promote it?
Sure. So, plastics recycling in the United States is growing as an industry. We are coming off of 2 years of a global pandemic, and as a result, we are learning to do things differently. And we, as an industry, have new priorities, and we're reevaluating our values. And so, we're really looking at making sure that our materials are more sustainable, and a really big part of that is recycling, and making sure that we have access to enough recycled material, because brands and consumers want this. And so we're just trying to find ways to make more recycling happen.
What are the main challenges that the industry is facing to make it happen?
Inertia. So one of the big issues that we have is that our material recovery facilities in the United States have been designed without thinking about the materials that people are using day to day, which means things like flexible films, which are incredibly important from an overall sustainability perspective, are not necessarily captured in most material recovery facilities or MRFs. So when you think about that, you then on top of that have to think about the fact that most people aren't 100% confident on what they're supposed to be able to recycle, whether they're at their office or whether they're at home. Those could be very, very different. And so trying to find ways to educate, people on how they can recycle better, and they can trust that when they're recycling something that it is actually getting into a product at the end of the day is really important for us.
Great. Well, in recent months, Greenpeace published a report stating that single-use plastic cannot be recycled in the United States. What is the position of plastics to this report that affects the image of recycling to people that is not very aware of the efforts that are taking place?
It's really disappointing to see that report because it's fundamentally untrue. We recycle millions of pounds of plastics each year in the United States. And so it's very difficult to call yourself an environmental organization that's really trying to be pro-environment and also at the same time tell people not to recycle. Because what that does is it really discourages people, and we want people to recycle more, and we want people to feel confident about when they recycle appropriately and properly. I also would really encourage you to look at the resource recycling at chief editor Dan Leaf. So Dan Leaf had a really interesting response where he really looked at the details of that analysis and really showed that there were some just fundamental misunderstandings and mischaracterizations of plastics recycling in the United States.
Wow, very interesting position. I will make sure to read the full article. Now, can you tell us about the initiatives that Plastics is doing to promote those efforts and push recycling industry and business?
Yeah, so at Plastics, we like to say that we love plastics and we hate plastic waste. And so one of the really important ways that we are addressing and eliminating plastic waste is by promoting a circular economy, by developing new markets for recycled materials, whether that's with our programs in our New In-Market Opportunities program called NEMO, or whether that's through education or at events like NPE 2024, which is going to be an amazing opportunity for the industry to really learn how these products get used and made and how they can take these things from the beginning to their next beginning.
Now, talking more wider perspective on circularity, not just recycling, but the whole circularity. What can you tell us about the efforts and activities that you are promoting from Plastics?
So when we think about circularity, we want to make sure that that we're keeping resources at their highest and best use. And often that means is using plastics. It's been demonstrated that plastics compared to other materials, time over time, has a lower carbon footprint. And what we want to do is we want to take an already sustainable material and make them better. So thinking about things like renewable feedstocks, reduction, reuse, which are incredibly important and often get overlooked in our industry, promoting of recycling, and then alternatives to landfill. These are all incredibly important aspects to making plastics more circular.
Great. Now, there is a question to understand how the U.S. Plastics Pact is helping or creating the conditions to make plastic more circular. Do you have any comments on that and how it's happening?
I would say that I will let the U.S. Plastics Pact speak for the U.S. Plastics Pact, but overall, what's really important about those kinds of things is that companies are making pledges. They're making like out loud commitments to what they believe about sustainability and where they think that they can be. I also think that if you look at the U.S. Plastics Pact's recent report, where they acknowledged that we have so much more to grow and we have so much more opportunity, is really important from a transparency and credibility standpoint. Like, we shouldn't set goals that we can easily meet in the first year of a multi-year program. But understanding and recognizing that these things are difficult and that we're having to rethink as an industry in an entirely new way. And so thinking about things, again, like at NPE 2024, where companies are going to be able to learn and see how they can solve their sustainability challenges.
Wow, yeah, and talking about NPE 2024, that we are all waiting to
Yes.
that moment to come finally after such a long wait. Can you tell us about the activities and initiatives that NPE is planning to promote sustainability, recycling, and circularity at the show?
Oh, so sustainability and circularity are incredibly important for NPE 2024. It's been 6 years since our last show. We're in an entirely different industry now. And so understanding, like, the world has changed, and coming to NPE 2024 is where people are going to see how the industry collectively, as a voice, talks about sustainability, what it means for us. So whether that's with working with our booth partners to make sure that if they produce any plastics on the show floor, that it be recycled. It is mandatory for people who are producing plastics that all the materials be recycled. In addition to that, we have educational sessions. We have tours put together where we're going to be able to go booth to booth so that companies have an opportunity to tell attendees what their part is to play. And even more, we're trying to think about how we can make the show itself more sustainable and renewable. These are all incredibly important goals for us. And over the next 18 months, we're going to these are incredibly important goals for us. And between now and 2024, you're just going to be amazed at what we can do.
Great, thank you so much, and look forward to see you in Orlando in May 2024.
I'll be happy to be back.
Thank you.